Moreno.
You heard that announcement for Luis Moreno from Nick Scherzer. The crowd loves him.
I don't think his opponent needs any introduction, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. Considered by pretty much everyone one of the greatest handball players of all time. Multiple three-wall national championships, multiple world championships, multiple four-wall world championships, multiple four-wall championships. From Weldon Springs, Missouri, David Chapman.
Here he is, David Chapman, slowly walking down the steps here, very casual. There he is, acknowledging the crowd. Dave Chapman making his way to the courts here, as well as Luis Moreno. They're getting ready for their semifinals match. In the earlier one, we caught Andy Nett losing to Emmett Peixote. The #1 seed makes it to the finals. In recent years, it was the number one seed, or actually the winner of this tournament, going on to win the Toledo Nationals. Andy Nett does not have a microphone on. I know this because I'm holding on to it. Here's the first serve, wait, and it's a redo.
This gentleman on the next court, Dave, has hit a lot of balls into the show court here. Doesn't care. That ball just in. You know, Dave, I give Luis a really good opportunity to win this match here because of his serve. This is a server's court, Dave. The ball slides on that sidewall. The ball's so fast. It's even if he can't match Dave in the rallies, which I don't think he can get in that service box, Dave, and he can just run points.
Look where Dave's standing and look where Luis is standing.
Well, look where Dave's standing now, though. Nice control there from Dave. Even if Dave's able to get Luis tired, Luis still has the ability to get in that service box and run points. That was a strange serve from Luis. I've never seen Luis hit a serve like that. We saw Luis change his serve at the end of that tiebreaker, Dave, in his quarterfinal win.
Look at that shot right there from Luis.
That's the second paddle fly kill that Luis has hit in a row to start this match. Got the side out with a nice paddle kill with his right.
Looks like Luis has a lot of energy here.
Luis is very intimidating with his body language, Dave. He lets you know that he's there for... He lets you know he's there to compete and he's got plenty of energy to play a marathon match. We see Omar down there putting the microphone on Andy Nett.
Dave Chapman acting like he's a little peeved that we took that extra 5 seconds.
That last rally kind of strange, Dave. Both guys hitting the ball right back at each other. Looked like it might have been some hinder, but
that's a good serve right there, Dave.
Already, Dave, early in this match, we've seen a completely different style of play from the last match we watched Dave play. We saw Dave and Bill Mahilos just grinding it and pounding it from the back court, Dave. And in four-wall, the ground and pound is more that shoot from everywhere style, but three-wall, we saw Dave and Bill Mahilos just bashing from the back court.
Play it again.
Bashing balls. Dave throws that right shoulder just enough in the way to eliminate Luis's path to the ball. It's a tough serve there from Dave.
I like that shot from Luis.
Luis has definitely improved his deep game, Dave. I know Luis doesn't play much three-wall, but
there's that power ceiling shot.
That's a shot that Vince Munoz used to use during his 11 title reign in the three-wall nationals. That overhand fist to the ceiling from the short line. You see Dave. Dave will not shoot the ball from the back court. Right there, that's a ball that you see a lot of players try and shoot. Even a ball like this, he won't shoot that ball, Dave. He has so much discipline on the three-wall court, and you think to yourself, why not take a chance and shoot that ball? But he'd rather just keep sending you back and back until he gets a ball that's up around the short line, and then he'll go low.
2 serves 1.
2 serves 1.
Not a good serve there. Luis does not punish that, though, and Dave makes the unforced error. Dave actually trying to fist that ball into the left corner with his left fist. That puts the wrong spin on the ball. That's why that ball hit that side wall and went straight down.
There's that beautiful serve from Luis. Dave was really late getting out of the box on that.
Well, Luis
2 serving 2.
disguised that very well. Luis
Did it
had him again down the left. Unfortunately for him, caught that left side wall. I would say Dave is vulnerable in this match against Luis here, Dave. If Luis can get that serve going.
Look how Luis is handling those power fist shots.
It looks almost as though Luis had it in his mind that he was going to play those ceiling shots just like he is.
And the crowd likes seeing that.
4 serving 2.
4 serves 2. Ball just skids on the ground but makes the front wall. We'll see a timeout here in a minute from Dave. 5-2.
Dave
5 serving 2.
before this game started, Dave, he was telling me that Andy Netsch just got an unreturnable serve. I said, well, Luis's serve is just as good, if not better. I think that scared him just a little bit. I don't think he was expecting to hear that, and I think he's seeing it right now.
Well, I agree with you on that. I think Luis has got more confidence with his serve.
You know, we talk so much about the Cinderella story, the dreamboat, and his great serve. Almost take for granted Luis's serve because he is at the top of the sport, and we've seen it so much. But let's not forget, Dave, that Luis has
That was good.
one of the great serves, if not the best serve in the game right now.
3 serving 5.
That was a point there. That ball was on the line. Hard for us to see.
I thought I saw good.
That's a nice return there from Luis. Oh, you know, most players, Dave, would back up and take that ball out of the air. Dave had the awareness to know that ball was 2 inches long.
4 serving 5.
4 serves 5.
Not a good serve there from Dave. For Luis to have any chance to win this match, Dave, I'm surprised Dave went back to the ceiling there. Luis will have to do more with the return of serve. If he continues to hit that serve
Out.
straight off the front wall, Dave will feast on that. And Dave will take control of the rallies, and he'll end most of the rallies with fly kill dump shots. If Luis is able to
5 serving
put
4.
that serve high, front wall, side wall, he's got a good chance. And you know just how much that ball hopped when Dave was completely fooled. Dave actually hit a backhanded fist to try and get that ball
6
back.
serving 4.
6-4.
Out. Second serve.
Luis goes for that shot there. That ball just bounced up and popped right up off that right side wall.
4,
Gave Dave
36.
a very easy opportunity there. You see Dave changing his serve a little bit there. Not a good shot there from Dave. That's a tough shot, even for Dave, who's one of the great fly kill specialists in the game,
34.
to take that ball from 30 feet and do something with it. Here's a setup.
Luis has such good hands, Dave.
Dave misses the ceiling there. It gives Luis a big reprieve. Luis puts a nice reverse on that ball.
Play it again.
Oh, that's tough.
No.
That is tough.
My bad call.
That's a bad call there. David giving up on that ball, Dave. Wasn't even going for that ball.
Referee he can change his call. I've seen you do it a few
6-4.
times when the play actually develops, and I've seen you as a ref say, I'm sorry, I made a quick wrong call. Look how this changes the momentum here. Now Dave's serving.
I don't think Luis is the type of player that holds on to something like that, but definitely a terrible call that went against him.
4-6, should be 4-7. I like that serve,
See,
though.
there's a great return there from Luis, and look at that shot he forces from Dave, and then just an easy setup. And you hate to say it, but it's as easy as that, Dave. It's that high two-wall, high V shot that's going to give him the advantage in the rally. If he hits that ball anywhere off the middle of the front wall, and I don't understand that serve. Gets a setup, though, and just too casual there. Dave is not moving well here. I think Bill Mihalos took a lot out of Dave. We saw Dave immediately go back and rest for about 4 hours between his match, and I think Bill really took a lot out of Dave there. You know, Dave, this outdoor game requires a lot more physical stamina.
Yeah, but you went this way. The ball was back farther this way.
Andy does not know the rules here.
I disagree with that. I think Andy saw a little bit of contact, and I think Dave sort of ran into Luis trying to create a hinder call.
But no, he held up his hands before he even hit the ball because of the contact.
Well,
this wasn't after.
Just because you hold up your hands doesn't make it a hinder, unfortunately.
He's not looking for a hinder. He's looking for contact. He tripped over Luis's foot going after that ball.
Okay.
There was contact. Andy's response to him was, "You took the wrong approach."
Timeout.
And so I just don't see that as an accurate call whatsoever. You're here watching the WPH Ektelon Fireball Classic here in Kansas City. Luis
9-4.
jumping out to a big lead 9-4 against Dave Chapman in the semifinals. It was Dave Chapman defeating Andy Nett just previously. Now, Emmett Pachot defeating Andy Nett. Emmett, the #1 seed, now in the finals to face the winner of this one.
Luis taking a swig of an energy drink there. Keep that energy up. Dave really off to a slow start here. This is not the Dave Chapman I expected to see here in the semifinal. He's just not moving well. He's not sharp. He just doesn't seem to have an answer for what Luis is doing right now.
9-4. Luis.
You know, Dave, we talk so much about these players and the ability to turn the momentum around with the serve. Dave does not have that big serve. He doesn't have the ability to go in there and hit 4 or 5 aces in a row to get himself back into a match. Every point is really him clawing and just directing traffic.
What are we waiting for right now? It's a 60-second timeout. Our referee is watching the match on the court over at Luis.
That's a pretty good C consolation match. That was a good
We have Luis
rally.
Moreno over here coming over because he's ready to play after 60 seconds. He comes over and watches the match. Dave Chapman's going to sit there as long as he possibly can. 9 serves 4.
You know, Dave, we talked a lot about... That's way out. We talked a lot, Dave, about the importance of professional refereeing here. And, you know, a lot of us, including myself, scoff at the notion of that. But when you get here at these big events and you see just how unprofessional it can be from the referees, it becomes apparent to us as Luis rolls that ball out in the left corner. That looked a little bit lucky, but it actually wasn't. That's the shot he's going for.
11-4.
11-4, and the scary prospect is that Luis has not even gotten his serve going yet.
Or a sweat.
Oh.
That was a huge mistake.
Terrible air there from Luis. Dave, a lot of people, including yourself, think you just bash that ball to the ceiling. I'll tell you, this ceiling is very slow. And if as hard as you hit that ball to the ceiling, it's still pretty easy for your opponent to run back and get to that ball. So when I hear a lot of people telling me you should just bash that ball to the ceiling, you're better off bashing that ball high off the front wall. Dave just outswords completely right now.
That was terrible. Dave's legs look heavy. He looks heavy.
He's actually the same weight he's been since his comeback. And there's a tough serve. Dave does well to get that ball back. That's these courts that are just a little bit different, Dave. They're just a little bit slick on the side walls, and that ball does not check up at all on the side wall.
4 serving 11.
Like you would expect it to.
4 serves 11.
You see Dave a step slow to get himself in position to hit that fly kill.
I've never seen Dave look like this before. Paul Brady versus Dave in a 4-wall court in 09 maybe.
11 serving 4.
Well, we've seen Dave look like this a couple of times throughout his comeback. It's Luis who's dictating traffic, believe it or not, Dave.
Luis looks turbocharged right here.
12 serving 4.
12-4. Look at that reverse.
Dave handled that ball.
Dave saw it coming.
Well. Luis just on fire right now, Dave.
Gonna go to the corner. Nope. Right down the middle.
I think the crowd a little bit stunned here, Dave.
13 serving 4.
And this is what happens, Dave, when Luis gets comfortable. And you've seen it. Luis just brings out a whole different arsenal.
Look how smart Dave is. He sees that slop shot come in and he said, I have to neutralize this.
He goes to his own energy drink. They call it the blue. Dave actually has his personal trainer and bodyguard.
14-4.
They're two separate people.
Luis.
They're both about 6'6",
Moreno.
374 pounds. They're sitting here, Dave, just in the fourth row here. We can get a look at them. They're actually sitting next to Emmett Peixote and his lovely girlfriend, Mackenzie Page Siegel. Look at Dave, so calm there. Omar can scan over to Dave sitting on that bench. Dave having a little chat with old friend Tommy Little. It's a Missouri State teammate of his. Like to be sitting on that bench with him. It's amazing, Dave, how calm Dave can be during a timeout. He can just talk to you about any random subject during a timeout, and then he goes in there in the game and he's just so focused on the ball. I will say that Dave has a tendency to get a little bit distracted if things aren't going his way, particularly if he feels like he doesn't have his legs under him, Dave. We've seen that a couple of times. We saw that last time Luis and Dave played each other at the Coeur d'Alene Hell of a Bash in September. I don't believe they've played since then. Luis won that match easily, lost the first game, and just rolled through Dave in the second and third
They did
games.
play at the One Wall FBC in Tucson.
Luis won that as well.
Right.
So Luis is going for the rare trifecta against Dave, a 1-wall, 4-wall, and 3-wall victory. And you see Dave he's not getting to that ball.
You're talking about how Dave is cool and collected. We played in a money event in Vegas recently as doubles partners, and we were losing to Luis Moreno and Abe Montijo. And during the timeout, he was asking me if I saw that rerun of The Office with Steve Carell the night before at the hotel.
Which one?
It's the one where Dwight Schrute.
serving 4.
Yeah, he's in every episode. And
the one where Dwight Schrute.
Play it again.
oh,
That's
what a
unbelievable.
horrible call. You got a reprieve from your made-up story there. Couldn't come up with one episode. They've only had about 200 of them. Could have cited any of them. Luis just gets an unbelievably horrific call there. That's the second ball Dave hasn't even gone for that he was given a hinder call on.
Dave just loafing back here. Now my microphone's back. Did you hear that story?
That was a funny episode. Dave just unable to keep the ball down. Dave can't bend. He's lifting everything.
17-4.
17 serves 4. Never thought I'd see this.
Ever?
Nah.
No?
How about you?
I'm surprised, but not entirely shocked, particularly given the condition that Dave's in right now.
Now, what would your reaction be right now if you were Dave Chapman?
I wouldn't be too happy.
Would you turn around to the crowd and say and clap and tell them, you know, they've done a great job as being the best
I
crowd
think
ever?
There's an implication there that I'm not going to take. Sort of some bait that you're throwing out there. I'm just not going to take that bait.
Dave's just letting Luis take this first game.
Well, Dave's doing what he can. Luis is just determined to take all these drives out of the air, and it's apparent that it's the right play.
Here it is
Luis
again.
doesn't want to get into a deep driving game with Dave. And here he is again. Look how he takes that ball out of the air. And you see what I mean, Dave. You say punch that ball to the ceiling. That ceiling is so slow that
I'm not saying punch the ball to the ceiling when you're back here. I'm saying when you're around the short line.
Well, I'll tell you, Luis was up at the short line there. Dave punched that ball to the ceiling from about a foot behind the short line. Luis is there waiting for it. It's not that great a shot with a
20,
screen
34.
ceiling. You know, Luis still not serving great.
Game one.
There it is. Luis Moreno takes the first game 21-4. We are going to take a timeout here in Kansas City. It's the KCAC WPH Ektelon 3-Wall Fireball Classic. For Dave Fink and Omar Lemus, my name is Dave Vincent. We'll be back in 4 minutes to catch game number 2. Stick around. And we are back live from the Kansas City Athletic Club for game number 2. Luis Moreno defeats Dave Chapman in that first game, 21-4. Winner goes on to face Emmett Pachot for $4,000 tomorrow.
Dave will make a big push here early in this game, Dave, to see if he can get himself in the game. If Dave is unable to get off to a good start here, I think we'll see this game end pretty quickly. Just a prediction.
1-0.
That's what I'm paid to do. Look at that shot.
Watch this setup here.
That's really the first ball that Dave has shot with Luis in front of him. And I'd like to see Dave do more of that.
The California State three-wall doubles championships are going on exactly at the same time in Glendale, California, in the semifinals after this play is over.
That was a great point. Beautiful cat and mouse handball right there.
Chip Morales and Mondo play Nadi Alvarado and John Bike in the semis.
That's not a close match.
Just in.
Score of that match, please.
Don't have the score.
Okay. Just an unbelievable shot right there. Luis is a lot like Paul Brady, Dave. When he gets comfortable, he's just unstoppable. He's like a train going downhill.
1-1.
One serves one in the other semifinal bracket. Or excuse me.
You see Luis climb that side wall like Spider-Man right there. No, Dave hits that corner. Luis anticipates that ball, and he's just right there and misses it. Very frustrating. You did everything right, anticipated the corner kill.
1-1.
One serves one.
1-1.
Now in the other semifinals match of that Glendale three-wall California championship going on right now, nice shot from Dave Chapman, is Shorty and Ricky Ruiz versus the Marco and Carlos Chavez team, the brother Chavez.
What a tournament.
The Ruizes and the Chavezes are playing in the bottom bracket. Nadi Alvarado and John Bike playing against Mondo and Chip Morales in the upper bracket.
Nice to see Mondo back in tournament action. He had some health problems earlier this winter. Armando is one of the great talents in this game, Dave. Would have been a threat to win this event had he come here. Dave just a little bit off there. That's a smart shot, and Luis gets it.
That's a screen, not called.
You see the torque that Luis generates by pushing off that back foot in the air and still creates enough of a turn to just drill that ball into the left corner. And I think Dave has to be fortunate right now, and you see Dave can't move to that ball. Dave's fortunate right now, Dave Vincent, that Luis isn't serving well. Because I'll tell you, if Luis was serving well, I don't think Dave would have much of a play on a lot of these serves, and that's the serve I'm talking about. Now, I'm a little bit biased, Dave, being on the court with Luis, but I felt like Luis hit about 15 serves like that a game.
Oh, yeah.
Against
Unbelievable.
me. Okay.
More aces against you than Andy was doing against his opponents.
Okay. I mean, it's hard to tell when you're on the court, but that's how it felt to me.
Yeah, he was reversing, he was doing naturals, and he's going left, right.
Wall.
Yeah, it just, I don't know how anybody could even stand in there. 5 serves 2. This is the second game. Luis wins the first one, 21-4.
Second serve.
We've gone through the whole tournament, haven't broken one ball yet, Dave.
Oh, what a great fly kill there from Luis.
Look at that shot.
Surprising there that Dave went back up top with Luis so far behind him. Oh. That's the first time we've seen Luis a little bit lazy there in the backcourt. Gave Dave credit for a great shot there before he even hit it.
2-5.
2-5. Dave Chapman losing the first game 21-4. Now trailing 2-5 here in the second game. You know, Dave, having played a couple matches on this court against two of the most powerful and quickest guys in this draw, the ceiling is really not that effective. The ceiling actually slows the ball up, and you see how slow that ball is. You see Luis just waiting for that ball, and look what he does with it. I think that's a better shot right there.
Oh my gosh.
Smart shot there from Luis. But Dave just gives him that shot. You know, Luis can see that Dave's making no attempt to move forward there, and Luis, very comfortable and relaxed, is able to shoot that ball about 8 inches high and win the rally.
5 serves 2. Dave Chapman has half the score he had in the first game, and that's a perfect shot right there for Luis.
Luis stayed with that hop on Dave Chapman's fist. That ball straightens out. Luis anticipates that, waits for it, and just steers that ball into the right corner.
Is it conceivable to say that if Luis Moreno goes on to the finals here, which looks like he's on his way, that he is a potential real strong threat for the Toledo National Championship?
Well, certainly he's on the short list. Luis, a semifinalist in Toledo last year, a potential finalist here if things hold true here, and he's certainly improving his three-wall game. His return of serve has improved, and his rally game has improved, and he's always been deadly up there in the front court with kills with both hands. So
now you were playing a game against Luis. I think it was the second one. He went for a fish shot and he hit the ball right into his own eye guards. You remember that?
No, I don't.
Okay. If you look at his right eye, he has a shiner on his eye. This is the reason why you wear eye guards, because he fisted a ball and went off and hit him in the eye. And I think your back was turned at the time. But if you look at his right eye, he's going to have he has a big shiner there. It looks like he got punched. And that comes from the handball hitting him in that right eye. When he came over here, I thought
that must have been a return of serve. I think I looked back and lost the ball, and I really didn't.
And knocked his eye guards up on his face, and it was a fish shot. You've seen that. You've done it before, probably.
I don't
came
fist.
in. Okay, you've never done it before. Maybe you've never even seen it before. It actually happened to an opponent you were playing, and you still don't even know that about this. But
this is a really long timeout right here. I'm not going to go out on the record like you do and say this is the longest 60 seconds, but I'm going to say this is a standard 2 minutes and 45 seconds. This is how 2 minutes and 45 seconds feels.
Here in Kansas City. We're in Kansas City time.
It moves a little slower here in the Midwest.
Play it again.
That's not a bad play there from Luis. Luis kind of in a bad spot there, just hits it right back at himself and gets a first serve.
7 serving 2.
7 serves 2. Oh, that's a reverse. Dave picks it up.
I don't see the same kind of power on Luis's serve that I saw earlier in this tournament.
Wow, Dave's really sloppy up there. Dave just lets him take it.
Dave will not be happy after this match. I can tell you that, Dave.
He will celebrate by having 3 steaks, 2 bottles of wine.
I don't think there's going to be any celebration or any talking.
He will text a 2-word statement to all of his friends. I suck. He might throw in, I'm the worst ever.
So the webcast has become predicting Dave Chapman's texts.
I'm just telling you what he's going to say.
It's in my pocket. I'm chewing on it. Even when Luis is off balance, he still manages to hit a decent shot.
Wow. Luis looks hot right now. He's on fire. He's so comfortable right now. He's letting the ball drop. He's going for his shot.
You know, the advantage Luis has against Dave.
8 serving 2.
And if you talk to him, Dave, you'll realize he's not intimidated by Dave Chapman. He knows that he's beat Dave before, and he's never intimidated going in the court against Dave, and that's a huge advantage that any player has.
Wow, look at Luis get that ball. That almost looked ungettable up there. He just rolled it out flat.
Luis has the ability to take that extra long stride and just get to those balls up front and re-kill them. You know, Dave actually is not returning badly. Dave's getting his fist on all these serves. He's putting that ball up high. Luis hasn't had any balls that were just sitting there for him in the front court. Luis has had to make a lot of tough shots to win these points. Fly kills from very deep. And there's another example. Nice return of serve. And Dave, to me, using that ceiling far too often.
This is not the same Luis that we saw in the match prior to this. I mean, he feels really comfortable. He's staying up near the short line, cutting those balls off, running back in the times when he needs to run back.
Jimmy D. Yes. Is this Pacifico?
Luis had a good play on that ball. Looked like there was a little congestion there. No call.
3 serving 10.
That also quieted the crowd too. 3-10. The crowd's obviously going for
terrible
Luis.
Serve there from Dave. I mean, Dave gives himself virtually no chance to win that rally with a serve that hangs up on the left side wall. Luis has the option to do anything with that ball. He killed it in the left corner. There's the first time we've seen Luis run that ball into the sidewall in this match.
He did it against you 10 times in a row. 11-3. Just over the line. Dave gets it back and puts a good spot.
That's a nice pass there from Luis.
Dave just wants to go back to the hotel room right now.
Luis told me after he beat Dave in Idaho, you know, I lost that first game and I realized I'm just hitting every ball right to him. Start hitting the ball where he's not.
12 serves 3.
And Dave, just like I talked about, Luis is one of the few players that does not have any intimidation factor playing against Dave Chapman. He's just very comfortable playing him. Dave, we all remember the first time that these two played was at the Y2K Pro Stop 2008. That was just 2 weeks after Luis beat Paul Brady. Luis crushed Dave Chapman in the final there. 21-10, 21-5, something in that neighborhood. Luis went on to win the next time they played, and Dave then went on to win their next 3 or 4 encounters pretty easily. Dave beat Luis at the Concord USHA Pro Stop, also beat Luis at the NYAC Invitational, both those matches in early 2009.
We have a great shot here of Luis talking to his mentor, 3-time USHA 3-wall national champion, Fred Lewis, who is his life coach, his spiritual advisor. He's here obviously on business with the WPH, but also really coaching Luis here.
Actually, Fred really helped me, Dave, and it just shows what kind of person Fred is. I was completely out of sorts after losing that first game. I'm playing against his protege. Fred came down and talked to me and calmed me down.
We saw that. I was talking to my wife after the game, and I never even realized, and she said, he said, have you thanked Fred? And I go, why? And she said, for going up to Dave and calming him down. I go, oh my gosh, he did go over there, patted you on the back, he had a long talk, you kind of walked away from him, he didn't let you get away, he kept consulting you, and then you held your own, you forced a tiebreaker, and really you played under control. And I don't know what Fred said to you, I know you're not going to reveal it, but whatever it was, I noticed that you didn't complain after that at all.
Certainly meant a lot to me that Fred would come over and do that at a time when I was completely out of sorts.
And he's completely rooting for Luis Moreno at that point too, and you know that. 3 serves 12.
There's the kind of point Dave wants to play right there. Great serve there. Not counting out Dave just yet. This is the time, this is Dave's last stand in this match right here. If Luis is able to get off to a 16-4, 16-5 lead, I think it's over. But this is the moment where Dave has the ability to get himself back in this match. And look at that speed from Luis.
It's this breakaway. Last second he picks up 3 or 4 extra feet. Just breaks away right to the ball.
He just has that ability to get to full speed from a stop position. And if and when Luis does win this match, you'll have to say that left-handed fly kill, that first strike left-handed fly kill, has really made the difference in this match, because Dave is fisting these returns of serves to Luis's left hand.
That's a beautiful return right there for what he had to work with.
Absolutely.
Look at this one. Just skims that left wall.
And look at that speed.
Look what Dave's doing to Luis here.
Luis just seems to have unlimited, and Dave goes back to the ceiling there. I just don't like that play. You see Luis plenty of time, and Dave just a big setup and makes no attempt to get out of the way, but didn't matter.
Dave's talking to himself, and that's never a good sign.
14-34.
Dave's holding himself up with his gloves here.
That's a nice shot there from Luis.
15-4 is the score. Omar Lemus, our cameraman, predicted a score of 21-4 in the second game. Right now it's 15-4.
That's a nice shot there from Dave. A lot of people here, Dave, have watched Dave Chapman play over the last 15 years or 20 years since he's been in Missouri. They have never seen Dave lose like this in person. The only matches Dave's really lost like this have been during his comeback. None of that has been in the Show Me State. Actually, we're in the Kansas, but I think you know what I meant. Dave, obviously, with a couple bad losses to Paul Brady in the last 2 national finals, also lost badly in a couple of other tournaments, but
5 serving 15.
I like that serve right there. Good return from Luis.
is it too early, Dave, to start thinking about the final matchup between the natural and the rock?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we can go ahead and talk about it. It's just when Luis gets that 21st point.
Great speed there from Luis, just unable to track that ball down. Luis too casual. You could see Fred Lewis just shaking his head when he saw Luis going for that deep court, off balance, all-arm kill.
That's what Fred always says when he critiques Luis, is that he just gives up too much and he needs to keep pressing on.
That's a nice return.
Side out.
Uh-oh, this is going to be a confrontation here.
I don't think so. Dave looks pretty resigned right now to the outcome here. I think if it was 16-16 and not 16-6, we'd see a lot more fireworks.
15 serving 6.
I actually thought Dave could have had that ball.
Short.
Good call there from our referee. Not only is he the dreamboat, the Cinderella story, he's also a great referee. What can't this guy do? And why can't we do any of it?
Side out.
We can't. Also in a secret society, he is. He's in an all-men's club called The Lounge.
6-15.
I don't have much respect for that club. Mostly because they won't let me in. In fact, it's so much respect that it's jealousy and envy.
It's actually a $1,000 buy-in, apparently.
Not for the initial members.
Of course, they got in for free.
Unfortunately, I went to
a lounge meeting.
Well, I actually went to get a drink of water, came back, and a lounge had been formed. Where would my life be had I not needed that drink of water? We'll never know.
Well, you could have had 4 more friends. Lifelong friends, actually.
Now I'm just left with some goofball in the webcast booth.
Play it again.
Andy believes in full contact handball.
It's a late call. It's a late call. It's a late call. Sorry. 15-6.
15 serve 6 again.
Maybe all those praises got in the Dreamboat's head. He just made a really weird call there.
Well, I'm glad to see Luis is still fighting out there, though. Getting emotional.
I was surprised Luis took that ball with his right hand. It makes it a more difficult shot because he's only got that left side of the court to hit into, but he rolled it. You know, you take that ball with your left, Dave, and you can pretty much hit that ball anywhere you want. Just to let our viewers know, Dave, there will be a women's pro exhibition prize money match immediately following this. On this court, it will be webcasted. That will be between Courtney Peixote and Bailey Chandler.
Score is 17-6.
17-6.
Dave, we're paid to talk, but right now it's just hard to come up with what to say here.
That's
Is this
unbelievable.
just Luis Moreno just an unbelievable display of handball? Is this Dave Chapman completely off? Is Dave Chapman tired? Is Luis turned the corner in 3-wall? Is it a combination of all those things?
Well, he looks so comfortable right now with everything he's doing.
You know, Luis will be playing Emmett, who beat Luis soundly last year in Toledo in the semifinals. But Andy Nett also lost to Emmett 21-2, 21-3 last year in Toledo, and today lost to Emmett 21-16, 21-18. So the improvement of these players, you just never know. A year is it could be a completely different outcome.
19 serve 6. Look at that.
Dave's so classy, though. Dave, one of the greatest champions in the history of this sport, and you see him just continuing to give it his best, even though he doesn't have his best today.
Luis fights through that.
Luis wants to end it right here, and he doesn't. That looked like one of those rallies that Luis would just put a bow on this match and end it right there, but Dave will get in here to serve.
Dave taking a timeout here.
Dave is just so unbelievably competitive, Dave, that he's not going to stop fighting until that last point is earned. by his opponent. He'll look for every possible angle to get himself back in this match. He'll call his timeouts. He'll change his strategy. He'll experiment with different serves. I guarantee you right now he's thinking, maybe if I can, get myself in here and score 5 or 6, I put a little bit of pressure on him. And, I can come in there and, it's hard to put yourself in Dave's head, but I'm sure that by calling a timeout at this point, Dave, that he's thinking that this is not completely over.
But it is.
You said it. I know Dave will be having all of his spies on the webcast, reporting to him everything that was said and holding grudges, trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. You apparently aren't.
All of his spies are here.
That's what you think. You haven't been to St. Louis much.
20.
There's a whole team, not to mention a team throughout the country of his handball students, disciples, proteges, you name it.
7 serves 20 now.
7 serving 20.
Dave's fighting this out for those that took the spread.
Actually, the spread would have been Luis getting points, so that was wrong again. Unless you made a new spread in between game 1 and game 2.
I absolutely did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
20 serving
Didn't
7.
see that. We actually take our headphones off between games so we don't talk. And that's it.
And Luis Moreno does it. Defeating Dave Chapman by the score of 21-4, 21-7. Setting up a marquee final now between Emmett Peixote and Luis Moreno tomorrow. A chance at $4,000 in cash. We are going to say goodbye for tonight.
No. Actually, Dave, we have the women's match coming up here.
Actually, I'm actually going to play here, so I don't think the women's coming on at this court. They might be on that court.
Actually, it is.
So we're going to take a timeout. We're going to leave. Thank you for tuning in to the live webcast of WePlayHandball.com. For Dave Fink and Omar Lemus, I'm Dave Vincent.